Welcome to UVTV, motherfucker. I'm gonna kick spiritual ass and do this for my people. On God. Nia nigga for filling me in. Today I'm gonna be talking about why they say witchcraft is used to communicate with the devil, Satan, or demons. Now, just in general, right? Just based upon the religious context, because I feel the need to break that down first. Just based upon the religious context and how y'all attach yourselves of, oh, this is a heathen, oh, this is the devil talking, oh, this is just some demon and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You can't listen to all these different demons, all these different descended men and fallen men and all that type stuff. They're gonna get in your ear and try to soothsay you and all that type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like the devil on your shoulder type of energies and all that type of stuff, right? Based upon how y'all anthropomorphize the devil, based upon the Abrahamic God and Christianity and monotheism and all that type of stuff, right? Christianity, Muslim, Judaism, all that type of stuff, and how y'all frame looking at demons, and how y'all frame looking at fallen angels, and how y'all frame looking at the devil. Because the way how I look at demons and the devil and all that type of stuff, I do not look at it the way majority of y'all look at it, especially if y'all under that indoctrination or that program based upon the different religions that we having out here, based upon monotheism and stuff like that, to make y'all look at the devil like it's like this uh omnipotent being and things of that nature that's actually in existence. You know what I'm saying? Like you like going to hell and you going to that actual place and you coming back and you confirming, oh, that's what it is that's what it means to actually go to hell when you go to that actual space and location after you die and all that type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like just flunked out. Y'all just lost. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just indoctrinated. Y'all just programmed. But like that's here nor there. I'm not trying to say there aren't people who are into Luciferianism. I'm not trying to say there's people who ain't into being in a cult or occultism and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying that people ain't out here believing in Satanism and things of that nature, right? And people utilizing witchcraft, because I'm gonna break all that shit down of what that actually means, because we all be playing this, we all be crafting that, especially if you're a female, we all be doing some form of witchcraft and things of that nature in the most natural type of way. The minute I actually start to break that shit down, for the most part, we all do it in our own little pocket, our own little container, our own little subjective point of view and way. It's just the way how y'all look at it, at least in my opinion. Not in my opinion, just in general, the way how y'all look at it is so clouded and it's so mixed up and mingled, and it makes y'all have this frame of mind based upon the rose-colored glasses of the different examples they have out here, based upon religion and the way they try to educate y'all when it comes to these shapes and forms and facets and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? To make y'all look at it in that certain worldview, but you don't realize the world that you in is like an illusion, like the Matrix or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, rather than that, yeah, I'm gonna get into it. So, right, to make it mad simple, witchcraft is just bitchcraft. The way the way how I like to call it, witchcraft is just bitchcraft. Bitchcraft is you crafting reality through witch type ways, right? You acting bitchy, you acting needy and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? That internalizing feminine type of energy. So witchcraft is just bitchcraft. A female is just a walking vibration. It's just a walking container. It's like a walking womb. It's a walking emotion. It's a walking feeling. So a female is just a walking container, walking emotion, and from that container or that emotion or that feeling or that vibe, it's being the source for crafting reality. So a witch is just a female sorceress. So from it being a female sorceress, it's utilizing emotions and feelings as a source, and you're utilizing that to craft reality. Now, we see that every day and stuff like that. You can't weigh a thought. You can't weigh a feeling and stuff like that. Yet you could feel and be impacted by the way someone feels and the way how someone feels about something based upon from a more negative end, based upon a grudge or them being vicious or mischievous or spiteful and stuff like that, or them cursing your ass out, or from a positive end and stuff like that. You try to give them a prayer or give them grace or give them some type of affirmation or wish them good luck and stuff like that, and you feel they actually give a fuck about you. And it's not them actually doing that physically, but you feel that care though. You know what I'm saying? You feel that emotion even if it's not physically you feeling it, but you still feel impacted. So you can't weigh it, but you still see that actually play out in reality of you feeling the influence of someone giving a fuck about you and someone not giving a fuck about you, just in general, right? So That's all witchcraft is. A witch is just a female sorceress, right? So is you utilizing your source of crafting reality through utilizing your emotions and feelings and containing it and condensing it and making it a walking vibration, walking emotion, and it makes you think otherwise from the overall awareness. The first intent, the masculine. So you was able to put someone in something, not out of something. Out will be like masculine, in will be like feminine. So you was able to put someone in a certain emotion and feeling. That's like emotional guilt. You know what I'm saying? That's like emotional baggage and stuff like that. You made them feel a certain way. The minute you start getting around them and you all like, man, you better not touch that stove, otherwise you're gonna burn yourself and stuff like that. Just like your mama had, just like your mama and your grandmama, and you know what I'm saying, all your different older relatives and stuff like that. Stop playing with that fire before you end up burning yourself and all that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? They gonna impact you with that feeling emotion. Okay, they practice witchcraft on you and stuff like that. They was crafting reality through a female source, emotion and feeling, and they was able to contain it. And they like, yeah, you better not think outside of what the fuck I just told you. I just put you in that program. I just put you in that emotion and feeling. You better not think outside of it and stuff like that. Otherwise, I'm gonna beat your fucking ass and make you go outside and go get the switch and stuff like that. Like, bro, it's really that simple though. It's really that simple. So female sorcery is black magic, and male sorcery is white white magic. So that's really a whole different video in itself. The minute it start getting into male sorcery being white magic and all that type stuff. But female sorcery, right, is just black magic. So it's just the source of charm and attractiveness and making it a reality. So from you utilizing your charm or your attractiveness, the same way how females, their whole thing and their whole world be, I want to be seen as attractive so people can pay attention to me, so I can be sought after, so I can get a man, so he can give me that, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't even gotta say it. You know what I'm saying? So he can give me that, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So he can put that thing on me and all that type stuff, like Mariah the Scientist and Young Thug. Oh God. But like, in general, right, from it being black magic, it's just the source of charm or like a charisma, and you was able to draw attention from it. Drawing attention is attractiveness. You was able to draw people to what you're paying attention to. So based upon what you're paying attention to, is going to be based upon the attention span. The attention span is just the awareness. That awareness is just the first intent. So what was the intent behind why you did it, of how you built and created and crafted that reality, and how was you able to draw people towards that creation or that building that you ended up making, like spiritually, mentally speaking, all the way down to you having a thought and idea. Okay, how can I attract people to this thought and idea? That's a feminine type of energy, right? So you was trying to put somebody into a feeling and emotion. So it's like a mechanism. You have an idea, and then after having an idea, that spark, that birth, ends up turning into you being thoughtful or you thinking about that idea. And then after thinking about it long enough, it's going to turn to a certain feeling. And then that feeling is going to turn into a specific feeling, and a specific feeling just an emotion. So once you have that specific feeling and it turns into an emotion, you're gonna be essentially moved, emotion, essentially moved, and you're gonna end up being motivated and inspired based upon how you felt from actually trying to play out that thought and feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really that simple. It's just a mechanism. So that's all black magic is. So once you start talking about magic and stuff like that, that's just you utilizing your imagination. And I know y'all look at magic as some type of supernatural power, right? Anything dealing with the supernatural is just creating something in a genuinely natural skill, talent, or power or ability by taking something that is unseen, hidden, or secret, in which you can directly, in a way, to make it directly be seen and make it a part of the external world that you can see with the naked eye. So it's like what I just said. You're taking something that's unseen and you're making it seen. Okay, you can't see my mind, can you? You know what I'm saying? Based upon the space that I'm in, my spirit. Based upon what my spirit is doing, my individual spirit is just my soul. So what resonates with my soul, that's going to create that mind matter. So those thoughts and feelings, and that's my first body. And then my first body is going to create my second body. The physical, the flesh, which makes my organs and stuff like that. And you're an organism, so you're going to control all the different organs. Look at that as you controlling all the different awarenesses. So from you controlling all the different awarenesses, you're going to control all those different mind matter and thoughts and feelings and stuff like that. And based upon those thoughts and feelings, it's going to inspire you to actually be motivated to do it and act it out into the external world, so people can see how passionate you is and stuff like that, because you feel enthused and you want to be fulfilled to actually play out that thought and idea that was on your mind based upon your imagination and your dreams and aspirations, all that type of stuff. Like, it's mad simple, bro. Like, y'all be making shit overly complicated. So your magic or your sorcery or your witchcraft and stuff like that, because I just really broke down all three of them and all the different facets, but they all kind of have to deal with each other, right? You utilizing your magic is just you utilizing your imagination, and you was able to craft reality out of that. So from you making your imagination real, you was able to take things within your mind that people can't see, that's unseen, mysterious, and unfamiliar, and then you was able to make it seen, and then now people gonna be trying to study how the fuck did you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really that simple, because only you see that vision. Only you are in that feeling. Only you are trying to communicate it, and only you think about it in that way. So you're going to manifest and materialize it. You're festering men and women, right? That's manifesting. You festering men and women. So masculine and feminine. Externalizing, internalizing. Attention, attraction. You know what I'm saying? Going out of something and then making it in something. So in a womb or a container and stuff like that. And you're going to fulfill that womb with all that skill and ability and creativity. And then now that womb is fully fulfilled into some type of creation, and then you end up creating life. So from you creating your children, your baby thoughts will be like the boys, and then your baby feelings will be like the daughters. You know what I'm saying? It will be like the sons and the daughters and stuff like that. The same way how you see the sun and the moon. And the sun and the moon is also a source. The sun is like a walking mentality when it comes to the men or the ego or the expression, and then the moon is like a walking mentality when it comes to the reflection or the emotion or the introspection and stuff like that. So it's just reflecting what the sun is doing, all the way down to what we see in reality when it comes to the daytime and the nighttime, when the sun above the horizon and then the moon being below the horizon, which is really just the reflection of what the sun is doing, just not in that geographical location, and it's just showing the reflection based upon the different moves and the phases and the shift. Like we see it as above, so below and stuff like that. Internalizing, externalizing, as within, so without. We see that on an overall scale and stuff like that. Y'all just don't be looking at it that way because y'all not that spiritual. But like in general, we already be seeing it based upon that mechanism on an overall scale, and then we actually play out that mechanism on a micro scale when it comes to our internal spring, summer, fall, and winter. The same way how we see this circadian rhythm in the mechanism transition of the day and the nighttime, or daybreak and the twilight zone, so dawn till dusk and stuff like that. And we also see that same mechanism when it comes to the seasonal transitions, and then we can act out those on a micro scale by trying to act out internal spring, summer, fall, winter, or that the different sun and moon pockets based upon if you into astrology and stuff like that. Aries through Pisces, so the sun being in Aries, so the cardinal portion of spring, and then it being in Taurus, the fixated portion of spring, and then it being in Gemini, the mutable portion of spring, and therefore. And then the same thing when it comes to summer, so Cancer being the cardinal portion of summer, Leo being the fixated portion of summer, Virgo being the mutable portion of summer, fall time, autumn, it becoming fully mature, but also starting to die out. So that's why it's gonna turn into harvest season, and things start to get more cold and chilly, and the leaves change and all that type stuff. So the cardinal portion of fall time, so Libra, and then the fixated portion of fall, so Scorpio, the mutable portion of fall, so Sagittarius, and then it's going to turn to the wintertime and stuff like that, when things get cold, dead, and distant, and inactive, but also you being cold when it comes to your abilities and stuff like that, and you was able to make some type of recreational resource and stuff like that, or recreational thing, so you could recreate the summertime, aka us making up big ass bubble coats to stay warm, even though it's low temperature and it's cold as fuck outside and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So even though things are inactive and dead and stuff like that, you still able to survive, even though we're going through that harsh winter or that harsh reality at the moment and stuff like that. I'm just using different allegories to make it make sense of how we have internal wintertime natures and stuff like that. That's like you adding. That's like you acting very detached and stuff like that. So you acting distant. You acting like you don't give a fuck about somebody. So you went ghost on them. You acted cold towards them. Same thing. You know what I'm saying? So the cardinal portion of wintertime being Capricorn, the fixated portion of wintertime being Aquarius, and then the mutable portion of wintertime, it being Pisces, that being a whole mechanism, and then we doing the whole entire mechanism all over again and stuff like that. So you putting yourself first, the first house, Aries, and then you putting yourself last, Pisces, in the 12th house and stuff like that. Either you putting yourself last, or it turned into you was able to take the thing of which you put yourself first for, and you was able to make it a part of the collective conscious. So everybody can be a part of it. Just like Pisces trying to make everyone be connective to everything they got going on from it being a mutable water sign. So it's more fluid, and it's about emotional connection, and it's about soaking and absorbing what we all want to be emotionally connected about, and us having some type of community and communion and stuff like that, some world global type of thing to where we can all sit there and enjoy ourselves and all that type stuff. And then that's it. That's why they end up making shit like humanitarian efforts and recreational centers, because they was in that type of mentality of how it is during that portion during the wintertime. It's gonna make you have those type of thoughts. That is really a whole different video, but I felt the need to even break that down because I want y'all to really understand the deep nuance of the substance of what the fuck I'm talking about, so it don't sound like I'm just saying some pseudo shit and things of that nature. From me making examples based upon the different allegories and the metaphors and the figurative natures and stuff like that, and you can see the actual nature of that in reality though. Y'all just don't be looking at it like that because y'all don't be spiritual, like I just said. So you got to be sensitive to the senses, aka having common sense. So you gonna understand the common stimuli or the common mentality on a lighter scale, not just what you see in reality. And you got to see it with the external eyes. You able to see that shit coming a mile away, like an intuition, literally, or like a gut instinct. And you can't explain it. You don't know why and stuff like that. But then you end up saving your life just from you even listening to your intuition because you knew, oh, okay, yeah. Like for some reason, I'm getting this instinct for some reason, like I should even be here at this time and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It won't feel right today for me to go outside and pop out and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Go out for drinks and all that type stuff. I'm going to stay inside today. And then you end up finding out the place you was going to end up going to with your friends to the club and they get shot up and shit like that. And then you like, man, I thank God all possibilities that I didn't even go out that day. You know what I'm saying? It's really simple shit like that. But it's in general, right? Yeah, the supernatural is just the supernatural or magic, because magic is just a supernatural power, right? It's just taking something which seems impossible and making it possible through taking something that nobody believed in to make it something people actually believe, and that's the trick. You're making an illusion appear imaginative or creative through having more of a know-how by utilizing your gifts and your gems and making gold out of something, aka you was able to make something valuable or resourceful even if no one even believed in the value within it or it being an actual resource. You know what I'm saying? Like all the way down to different minerals and stuff like that. But I mean like from like a spiritual, mental perspective and stuff like that. That's like you having a real broad creative idea and stuff like that. And then it took years for it to actually come up out the ground, and you was able to sustain yourself and gain some type of security and stability based upon how much work you put in and how long it took for you to actually come out the ground and stuff like that. So that's like you planting a seed, and then it's going to turn to a sapling, and then the tree end up coming out the ground and stuff like that. And then the same way how we look at a tree and is actually resourceful and stuff like that from that plant giving life and a whole bunch of different resources like the tree bark and stuff like that, and the different leaves and the things that actually come from that tree. So the fruit that come from that tree and stuff like that. So from you making some high-hanging fruit, it was something that was more juicy and enticing, and it was actually long-lasting based upon the value and the resources from that tree. So it's the same thing. The minute it started turning to low-hanging fruit, that's like you planted a bad seed and it wasn't able to last that long. It only lasted that one season, and after that season, it never came back again and stuff like that. The minute it went through that fall and winter time, it never grew back again and stuff like that. The shit just died compared to it going through the fall and winter time, and then it came back again, and then it ended up being a real cherry blossom tree or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just using that as an allegory for the most part. It's just based upon that trick. A lot of people probably use their tricks, utilize their talents, utilize their gifts, utilize their gold, and turn it into coal. You know what I'm saying? Like they be utilizing it for degenerate reasons, or look at that as they're utilizing it for temporary reasons. So like what I was saying before, low-hanging fruit. You're doing something that was monetary gain. You was utilizing it for something that was going to go through a death. It was going to die out really quickly. It was just a trend. It was just a phase. It was only cool during that time and stuff like that. But 5 years later, all right, you need to try to do something else. That you trying to utilize that same joke or that same resource, or you utilizing that same ability and stuff like that, or you trying to utilize that same charm or charisma, it's not going to work the same and stuff like that. You need to find out another characteristic. You need to find another charisma. You need to find another way to charm, another way to enchant, another spell you want to cast on somebody and stuff like that, because that magic is not as effective as it used to be and stuff like that. It's like you playing Final Fantasy and stuff like that, and you try to use that one magic ability and stuff like that, and it wasn't that effective compared to this boss. Like all the old bosses and stuff like that, you try to utilize that magic ability. The shit was like a Pokemon game. It was like super effective. And then once you start getting to the end and stuff like that in Pokemon, and find out all the gym leaders and stuff like that, the minute you get to the Elite Four and the champion, you try to utilize that same ability on certain Pokemon and stuff like that you probably don't fought before and stuff like that. And they Pokemon like level 70 and stuff like that, and they got certain defense stat boosts and shit set up and stuff like that, to where even if it's an element that it's super weak against and stuff like that, it's not effective and stuff like that, because they got certain shit based upon the different stats based upon that Pokemon, to where it's not as effective and stuff like that. It's not as strong. You know what I'm saying? You ain't leveled up. You ain't powered up enough and stuff like that. You trying to fight it at level 40, and then you end up finding a Pokemon that's like level 70 and stuff like that. Nigga, your ass gonna die. You know what I'm saying? You better keep on utilizing them hyper potions. You better utilize them hyper potions and the revives and shit like that. But like, yeah, that's just the negative end of the trick. People just be utilizing their gifts and their talents and their gold and their value and their resourcefulness for a lot of degenerate reasons and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So for them utilizing it for a lot of degenerate reasons, they just utilizing it for a lot of negative purposes based upon them thinking they're going to get their way all the time. And that's just them thinking a super ego narc way, when life don't work like that. It's the universe working through you. So it's never going to work for you or against you all the time. So it's always going to work through you. So once you understand it's going to work for you sometimes, so something being more abundant, and then sometimes it's gonna work against you. So it being opposing, but it's like a mechanism. It's always gonna work through you. So sometimes it's gonna go in your way, and then sometimes it's not gonna go your way. You just have to understand to try to hone in on that ability and be frequent when it comes to that thing, regardless if it's in your favor or it's not in your favor. You're showing your frequent ability to create more, and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? And then God like to see that you trying to create something for yourself, the same way how y'all look at God as a creator, not a deity. You know what I'm saying? Not a deity, not something that's descended, not something based upon adultery and idol worship and stuff like that. No, you worshiping the ability of you being sentient in the first place, you being able to create and observe and experience in the first place, and then that's it. And then you try to broaden that up and stuff like that. And God like to see that. All possibilities like to see that. So in general, you're taking something that's unknown, mysterious, mythical, or heavenly. Yeah, you took a different path. You took the unknown, mysterious, mythical, or heavenly path, aka God's way, to make it known. So you was able to utilize all possibilities, and then you was able to make it possible for yourself, utilizing all possibilities. So based upon all the creation or the universe, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like literally what I just explained before. Universe is working through you, not for you or against you. You was able to utilize the universe during that pocket and stuff like that, and it went more in your favor because you work with all possibilities. Oh, I know it's possible it's going to go in my favor, and now I know it's possible it's not going to go in my favor, but that's not going to stop me from doing what I need to do anyway. You know what I'm saying? Taking care of my responsibilities, and me trying to build and create more containers so I can fulfill those containers and then drain them and then fulfill them all over again and stuff like that. So it's like getting more know-how and trying to brighten up certain pockets, and then there's other pockets that I'm in the dark about or I'm clouded about, and the real enticing excitement is going through that experience, and I'm gaining more clarity about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gaining more purity about it, and I have more of an awareness and a know-how, and then I'm able to do it all over again and stuff like that. It's, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing in life that makes life exciting in general. That's why the minute you go through pleasure, you're going to go through that pain. Just look at that pain as, oh, some type of situation that's not going to go in your favor. But from you being able to be on your square and be on your pivot, and you're able to go through the different mechanisms and stuff like that, that birth like death resolution, you was able to go through the whole entire mechanism to where you can create it again, not get lost into a certain dichotomy of a pocket. You got lost into the death. You getting lost into the life. Look at that as you get lost into the external world. You get lost into the flesh. You got lost into your mind. And then if you get lost into your mind and stuff like that, you're going to lose the spiritual ability to create more and stuff like that. You lost the state of being of your pure space and stuff like that. You lost the first intent of the observation. And the minute you tried to actually play it out into reality and stuff like that, you got blocked based upon the anticipation, expectation type of energy. You need to not get lost into that dichotomy of that expectation type of energy, or you think it's going to go into a certain specific type of way where you need to understand it's not always going to go in your way. And then the minute you accept that, that's when you get a situation where it actually does go in your way for the most part, because you're not into that entitlement expectation type of energy to where you expect it to go just like this. And if it don't go in the exact way of how you compartmentalize it in your mind and stuff like that, you start stressing yourself out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, life don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, God trying to show you and stuff like that, you need to be able to pivot regardless. You need to be able to be frequent in that ability regardless, so you can be able to go through the dark storm, clouds and stuff like that in a better way, so you can actually become a spiritual adult, not a spiritual child, to where you end up bitching and crying about every single grievance or every single misconvenience that actually happened in your life and stuff like that, because you don't know how to be a real man and woman. That's it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's really it. Now, all that is to say, this is where that shit be coming from, where motherfuckers be like, why they say witchcraft is utilized to communicate with the devil and Satan and demons and stuff like that. The devil is just the demonic, dark, or the heavy side, right? So it's like an emotion, right? It's like you understanding your dark side, you understanding your opposition. You are your own worst enemy, so you have to even out the odds by making it fair through being decisive and making up your mind of what you want to be certain about, what direction you want to go. AKA God making a deal with the devil. So not saying you're God as in you being all possibilities and stuff like that. It's to say you're trying to make something possible that look impossible, but the only way to make it possible is to make that deal with the devil. You have to descend it. You have to create it. Look at God like all possibilities and stuff like that. All of creation. You know what I'm saying? Or the ultimate creator and stuff like that. So you're trying to create the situation, and then you have to work with the devil, the person who's trying to make your creation an actuality and stuff like that. Look at that as taking a high angle and making it a lower angle. Or you taking something that's above the horizon and you're making it below the horizon. You're taking something that's seen and you're making it unseen, and then you take something that's unseen and you make it seen again. You make it broad. You know what I'm saying? You gain some type of ego, character, expression, and then you basically turn it into a container that you can receive. So expansion, contraction, and stuff like that. The masculine, feminine, like I was explaining before. So the devil is just the demonic, dark, heavy side. So it's like the death, the outdated energy, limited possibilities or the potential and stuff like that. So it's like how I said before, God being all possibilities. The devil is trying to show you the limited possibilities or potential, the low-hanging fruit. God would be like the high-hanging fruit, something that's eternal, everlasting. Low-hanging fruit will be it turning into something that isn't as fruitful. You know what I'm saying? It's something that was temporary, but you have to go through the ups and downs when it comes to life. Like I was saying before, above and below the horizon, the up and the down. You have to go through that down moment to see what don't work. So once you see what don't work, you start to figure out your own lane, your own ability, your own creative way of how to go about something, and you see what works for you. You get what I'm saying? You have to go through that pain to find that pleasure so you can get to heaven and stuff like that and get into heaven gates. All that is get into that peaceful state or that state of bliss. You can't get to that bliss without going through that pain, because you have to go through the opposition. You can't find out what you like without finding out what you dislike. It's basically like that. So the same way how you look at the devil as, oh, the personification, the big bag man, you know what I'm saying? The big personification of evil and stuff like that, right? Look at God like the supreme identification of everything good and stuff like that, or everything positive, progressive. Okay, it's something that's counterproductive and not as productive and not as progressive. That's basically what the devil is. So look at that as a dichotomy, right? You have your good side, your good days, you have your bad side, and you have your bad days. Look at it more like that. But it's a mechanism. It's like a yin and a yang. You need both the yin and the yang. Yin would be like the devil, and then yang would be like the godly energy or whatever. So when y'all be saying shit like, "Oh, God versus the devil" and stuff like that, look at that as your light side or your angel going against your dark side, the devil on your shoulder. The angel on your shoulder, the devil on your shoulder. That's them being at odds. Okay, I can use another example and stuff like that. Look at it like astrology. Okay, you have an opposite sign. Okay, you have Taurus and then you have Scorpio. They're opposite signs. They're the same modality, a fixed sign, stubbornness, adamant, but it can turn to consistency, but they do it from a different mentality. They do it from a different element. You know what I'm saying? One's earth, one's water. So from Taurus being a fixed earth sign, right, it's fixated on its own way when it comes to thinking and practicalizing and springing off something and germinating a seed, a seed, germinated a seed based upon the value and the self-esteem and how you want to make something rooted or grounded or stable and secure. You know what I'm saying? Like earth sign type of energies. And you fixate it long enough and it could come off like a stubbornness, but that stubbornness can turn to consistency. And you fixate it long enough to where it actually becomes something abundant. You know what I'm saying? So you was able to germinate that seed to where it was able to grow into a big ass Garden of Eden tree and stuff like that, to where it can have and produce high hanging fruit for something to be everlasting and eternal based upon how much you valued it and how much you tried to manifest and materialize it into reality and stuff like that. Because anything dealing with earth is just being like down to earth. That's why people be making up things like that. That's why when it comes to earth signs, they be all like, "Oh, they're the most down to earth signs." Yeah, they like to make things grounded, not always dealing with the physical and reality. Even though earth deals with the physical in the material world and stuff like that, it just means grounding something, making sense out of something, make something actually deal with the realm of reality we in right now, the physical, the flesh, and stuff like that, the external world, to where, oh yeah, it makes sense to do that. Oh, that's a more practical way of how to go about how to go about something. So being practical is just putting something into practice for the most part. So from them putting it into practice, they see what worked because they actually did it in physical reality and stuff like that. So they know that shit work, and they start to see, oh, okay, there's value within this because I'm gonna always have that stability or that security or that physical thing, and it's always gonna be here tomorrow, and it's not something that's wishy-washy or all over the place, or it's gonna be here one day and then it's gone the next day and stuff like that. Man, you gonna end up scaring the earth sign even acting like that. They don't like that shit. So the opposite of that would be like Scorpio, and it's a fixed water sign, so they like to absorb and soak into the emotions and feelings. So it's fixated on its own way of how to deal with its own emotion and feelings, and then it's a fall autumn time sign, so it's like it like to fall the same way how the leaves fall during autumn time and stuff like that, and they start to change colors, different hues and shades and pigments and stuff like that, and color spectrums and stuff like that. So look at color spectrums like a characteristic. It's just making a whole bunch of different characteristics, but you can't keep playing out the same characters, aka characteristics, the same animals over and over. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep playing out the same charismas and charms and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? The same mannerisms. You keep playing out the same behavior, but you're never changing something up. And that what Scorpio represents, right? Because it's in the autumn time sign, so it represents death. So from you going through a death is able to expire, is able to be something that's temporary. You know what I'm saying? It's something that's gonna be there and then it's gonna come and it's gonna go, and they like to fixate on death. So from it going through that fall time, that autumn time, you're taking something that's fully mature because it basically has to develop, right? You took something that was a seed that develops, you brought it to life, which is summertime, and then it fully matured, and now it has to go through that death. So Scorpios understand making something fully mature and going the distance with something. You're taking something that was familiar to you, that you value, and you was able to go the distance with it. You made it something that was a shared value and stuff like that. That's why when it comes to the 8th house or Scorpio and stuff like that, that's why they be saying stuff dealing with shared values. That's really what they mean. You was able to take something that you value and you was able to go the distance with it, to where that value, other people can value what other people can basically value what you just value, so to speak. So just in general, right? You was able to make it something abundant, make it something wealthy and stuff like that, because you saw how well you was able to do that ability based upon you acting out that internal springtime energy, aka Taurus. So from them being the same modality, a fixed sign, but different elements, different mentalities, one is earth, one is water, and stuff like that, they're going to oppose each other. Now, from them being opposite signs and stuff like that, right, they're always going to feel the lack of the other thing. So earth signs always going to feel that lack of emotional intelligence and being able to fixate on their emotions, or dealing with deep passions or motivations, or dealing with transformation, dealing with death, dealing with change. And then Scorpios, they feel that lack of, oh, I don't know how to be stable. I don't know how to be secure. I don't know how to find value in myself and stuff like that. I don't know how to spring off a better idea. They always thinking oh yeah, I'm dying to live, I'm living to die type of mentality and all that type shit. They have a hard time trying to be born again type shit, because they feel like it's just gonna die out anyway, or we all gonna die anyway and stuff like that. So they think in a more degenerate type of mentality. So because they lack that, they always trying to find it. Even though they always be in that opposition, resistant mode, like they're not trying to do that. They actually are trying to do that. The thing they actually trying to find is, how can I be more stable? How can I be less degenerate? How can I find something to be born again? I want to find another seed to make me more enticed, to make me feel more valuable, so I can feel more fulfilled. I want to find something to germinate. I want to find something to fulfill, instead of me trying to be an energy vampire and drain the life out of something and put it through a death and stuff like that, and holding grudges and all that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? And not knowing how to deal with my emotions and feelings and making them more stable. And then that's it. You know what I'm saying? Because Tauruses don't like dealing with their emotions and feelings, and Scorpios, their whole thing is about being chaotic and deal with their emotions and feelings. But them being around a Taurus, they're gonna show them how to section out their water and stuff like that, they current, so it's not all chaotic all over the place and stuff like that, and it can come off more stable. And then Scorpios teach Tauruses how to go more in depth with their emotions and feelings, so they can actually be more vulnerable. And that's the only way they're gonna learn how to be more grounded and how to be more stable and stuff like that, but understand that other side, not some super dry, super non-connective, you know what I'm saying? Like, because all that is water type of energy, non-connective ass motherfucker and stuff like that. And then you think the external world and the material and the physical is gonna fulfill how you feel inside, when that's never gonna fulfill how you feel inside. No, actually deal with how you feel inside, motherfucker. And that's how a Scorpio gonna look at a Taurus and stuff like that. So just in general, that was a long ass example, but like I had to say that so y'all can get that nourishment, y'all get that build up and stuff like that of the overall energy of what I'm trying to say, because they're opposing. Right, when they're unbalanced, that's the thing that make them chaotic, because they lack the other half for the most part. So look at the devil like that. When you don't try to even out the odds when it comes to your dark side and your light side, your angel and your demons and stuff like that. So that's like you making light of your demons, you making light of your trauma, you making light of the different catastrophic or things that didn't go in your favor and stuff like that. You making peace with it, you looking at it at a more higher angle. When you don't do that, it's gonna make you be more grudge beholden and make you be in that more regretful or victimizing, victim blaming type of mentality and stuff like that, because you don't know how to deal with your own internal issues and stuff like that. You let the devil win for the most part. You know what I'm saying? You didn't try to make something that was agreeable, aka God making a deal with the devil. You know what I'm saying? Instead of you trying to always play devil's advocate and stuff like that, you was able to be an advocate to where God could work with the devil and stuff like that, and they could handle those different roles and stuff like that. Oh, I'm being God, so I'm gonna handle the heavens and stuff like that, the atmosphere, the sky, and things of that nature. And then you can handle hell, the low-hanging fruit. You can handle the death. You can handle the degenerate qualities and stuff like that. You can handle all your demons and stuff like that. And then we able to work on one accord and stuff like that. So these motherfuckers gonna go to heaven, and these motherfuckers gonna go to hell. And don't get lost into the Christian version of what I'm trying to say, because all these different things are internal energies. At this point, y'all should know what the fuck I'm trying to say for the most part. Like y'all know what I mean when I'm saying that. So from you dealing with the devil, you're just trying to deal with what you already created. And then if you want to go deal with God, you're dealing with what are you going to do to create more? You know what I'm saying? So just in general, right? When you're dealing with the devil, that's dealing with the things you didn't try to clear up based upon you having that clouded judgment, or it being impure, it being too mixed in. And then when you go deal with God and stuff like that, that's when you purify something. That's when you clear something up. That's when you make something more broad. That's when you gain more awareness. That's when you gain more clarity and stuff like that, and then you make something that's more generative so you can be more productive, so you can be a well-oiled running machine and stuff like that, and you can do things more efficiently, not trying to deal with the devil and try to be the ultimate descendant degenerate to where you try to pull someone down the minute they get grace about something and stuff like that. So that's like an angel trying to fly into heaven, aka you trying to have a higher angle and stuff like that, and then you have your dark side or your evil side and stuff like that, your degenerate side, that's going to pull that shit back down and stuff like that, and then you never shoot for the stars and stuff like that. You end up shooting down that imagination and stuff like that, and then you all like, man, nah, crab in the barrel mentality, you can't accomplish that shit. No, that shit limited. No, you not capable. No, you had that lack thereof. Nah, you remember that one time when you failed, though? You had that other time and stuff like that when you went through this, that, and the third, to where you had to go through those different traumas and grievances and stuff like that. Yeah. Pay attention to that. So that's why y'all be having all that different spookism when it comes to all that type of shit with it comes to witchcraft and stuff like that, right? Because from you going to that transition of making something an emotion and feeling, right? Females are like, or like, you know what I'm saying? Emotions and feelings and vibes and stuff like that. Or women being the walking example of what that is, from it being a mechanism, right? You're taking something masculine and you're making it feminine. You're expanding something just to condense it and contain it, just to expand out of it again, or make that container bigger, aka that's like you fulfilling a pocket and then you end up draining the pocket so you could fulfill it again, for the most part. So when it comes to witchcraft, you dealing with the devil and stuff like that, and it being something feminine and stuff like that, that's something that's after the fact. So that's like taking something that's the receiving energy. Masculine would be like perceiving, feminine would be like receiving. And then a lot of y'all be on the receiving end of things, and you never learn how to act on something first, or perceive something and then receive what you just acted on. You should be perceiving shit based upon how you see it, and then you react and respond to how you perceived, how you're being perceived after the fact. You need to act on something and then react to what you just acted on, not react first and then try to act. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You basically you automatically gonna have a misstep. You automatically gonna have the wrong starting point and stuff like that. You automatically gonna be starting and trying to germinate seeds in the wrong mechanism, mechanism and stuff like that. You need to gain an awareness or pay attention to something, make something more concrete, and focus on something. And then how you gonna attract people to that awareness, to what you paying attention to. So turning something into a male and making it female, for the most part. You took something that was a wizard, a male sorceress, and I turn it into a witch, a female sorceress. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like a mechanism. So it's like going on a high and then making it a low. You make something that was light, so treading lightly, and then use it to make it heavy, for the most part. You was able to be uplifted, and then you was able to depress it, not like depress it like depression and stuff like that, even though depression is that. It's you taking something that was out of the container or expanded or created, and you was able to contain it or condense it or absorb it or soak into it. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be the one to pour that water into the container, into the cup, for the most part, to make it an allegory. So you're taking an entity, something that's a part of existence, that live on its own, based upon its own substance, and you was able to turn it into a deity. You took something that was ascending and you was able to descend it. You get it? You know what I'm saying? You was in contact with your ancestors and stuff like that, and then now you're a descendant of your ancestors. So something that came first, and then now it's starting to become last. It's going to become below the horizon and stuff like that, for the most part. So that's what it means when it comes to, the demons and working with the devil and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to say there's not motherfuckers who lost into religion and lost into certain occultism and cults and stuff like that, and then they make up their own imagination or their own faith and beliefs when it comes to how they look at Satan and the devil and stuff like that, and they don't try to utilize witchcraft when it comes to that. But witchcraft is just bitchcraft. You're just trying to become the female source of something. You're trying to turn an emotion and feeling, and you was able to craft reality by putting someone into a certain feeling, emotion, or putting someone into a certain container or womb, and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? You was able to drain something. You was able to energy vampire something. You was able to energy siphon and stuff like that. You was able to take something, and then the masculine energy is you giving something, providing something, creating something. You was able to utilize divination instead of you utilizing your divine nature, for the most part. Divine would be like the creation, I mean, not the creation, the masculine energy. You know what I'm saying? You're creating that divine energy, and then a divination is something that comes after what you was divine about and stuff like that. So you took something that was pure and you made it impure. So when you get lost into other people's divinations and stuff like that, you never find out what you divine about. You never find out what make you go into heaven and stuff like that. You never find out your pure state of being, your natural state of being, your genuine, sincere state of being. You never find out what you genuinely like. You get lost into other people's divinations. You get lost into what other people like. You never find out what you like. You get it? You know what I'm saying? And then yeah. So when y'all start talking about all that type of shit, that's all that means. So you need to find your familiar, right? And a familiar is just a supernatural animal companion that assists a magician, right? Look at an animal like a characteristic. So a supernatural characteristic. So from you taking that power or ability and talent that's unseen, right? You was able to find some characteristic that's true to your state of being based upon the state of awareness that you in and stuff like that. So something you already like naturally for the most part. It don't take 2 seconds for you to think about it. You just are like, oh yeah, I prefer this over that. So once you find your familiar, that's things that are close, that you're closely acquainted to within your environment and surroundings based upon what you're used to personally being around. So something you're constantly observing and experiencing. What is commonplace or what you already are aware about and what you already have a liking for and stuff like that. And I shouldn't even have to explain that and stuff like that. You already know what you genuinely like. So look at that as something you naturally gravitate towards and stuff like that. That's why people be born into existence and stuff like that, and they naturally have a gift or talent. They naturally have a God-given talent, aka all possibilities and stuff like that. Based upon who they was in a previous lifetime, that was probably something they was creative at or something they paid attention to for a long period of time to where they was able to remember that ability. So it's like a God-given talent and stuff like that. You was able to create a circumstance to where you was able to have that certain talent or ability or skill again to where you have a lot of knowledge or know-how or comprehension when it comes to that thing and stuff like that. Even if it's a degenerate type of quality and stuff like that. Okay, it take a skill to be that degenerate. You know what I'm saying? It take a skill to actually be that opposing in things of that nature. So something that naturally comes to you and you don't even have to think 2 seconds about it. For some reason, you just know how to play guitar. For some reason, you just know how to play piano. For some reason, you're just naturally good at being a contractor and stuff like that. For some reason, you just in your element. For some reason, you're just naturally in that mentality where you just understand how to do something. Can't explain it. You never got taught it. Knowing your family is even into it like that, but for some reason, the minute your mama put a box of coloring, Crayola boxes and stuff like that, with a piece of paper, a sketchbook and all that type shit, and you get a drawing and stuff like that, you be making some crazy ass, fire ass drawings and stuff like that. You just naturally into utilizing your imagination. You're just naturally good at drawing for the most part. You're just naturally good at that thing, and then that's it. That's when you start to find a familiar in the esoteric realm and stuff like that. You end up finding your supernatural animal companion that you can actually be a friend with and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's like you having your close friends and family around you and stuff like that. So like people that you naturally resonate with. That don't even gotta be like your actual mother and father and your siblings and stuff like that. It's just someone you spiritually connect with and stuff like that. That's like a soulmate or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Y'all both in the same space. Y'all both a part of the same culture. So for some reason, y'all just naturally get along. Just like your best friend or whatever and stuff like that. So from y'all being into the same space, the same spirit, the same state of being, the same state of awareness, y'all both are trying to create the same things for yourselves because that's the same world y'all in. Y'all both look at things the same, have the same opinions, have the same perspectives, have the same worldviews. Y'all still have y'all both still have your own opinions, your own mind, your own space. The same way there's space between you and them and stuff like that. But on a higher percentage scale and stuff like that, y'all like to create the same circumstances and like to have the same type of environment or same type of atmosphere around y'all and stuff like that. Y'all into the same things, and then that's it.